Most people will completely understand and advocate and excuse self-defense by any means necessary. But as soon as people make a move to fight for their liberation, if they're not white, then white people, by and large, will do anything. They will find any reason to condemn it. And that, I think, is what the missing link is. The missing link is that self-preservation is where self-defense comes from. Self-defense is exercised in the interest of self-preservation, which is a natural, biological response for any living creature. Any living creature will naturally exercise self-preservation. It is an innate response to a threat. Any movement for liberation is a matter of self-defense. Oppression it's inherently genocidal. Oppression will eventually see the annihilation of whoever is being oppressed at some point. Once those people's usefulness has run out, they will then be eliminated. And that's why liberation movements are inherently done in the same vein as self-defense. Liberation movements are done in self-defense because they are done in the interest of self-preservation. The reason that white people, by and large, don't look at black liberation or brown liberation as valid movements is because we don't see them as people. And because we don't see them as people, we don't recognize their right to self-preservation. Now, having said all that, I think with people like Rodney Hinton, I stand with Rodney Hinton 100%. You will never see me condemn what Rodney Hinton did, because Rodney Hinton understands that black people have been placed into a war that they did not start, that they did not ask for. And the modern evolution or the modern context of that war is that it is being fought on the front lines between black people and police and white supremacist groups. And it's black people against all these other groups. It's brown people against all these other groups, even to the extent where it's poor people against all these other groups. Or it should be poor people against all these other groups, but it's not, because poor white people are dumb as fuck, which is why Trump loves the uneducated. Poor white people are not smart for the most part and don't understand who their actual enemy is. But I support Rodney Hinton, and I support John McCoy. The more recent incident in Virginia Beach. But the problem with these efforts and their responsive nature or their reactive nature is that it's going to lead to more and more severe suppression. I 100% agree with fighting back. I 100% stand with these people who are fighting back. I would just like to point out that I think it's important for these efforts to be organized, because fighting back in solitary incidents, isolated incidents, fighting back alone, it's only going to bring on these more severe repressive measures without a plan on how to respond to them, on how to deal with them. I completely agree the emotional response that came from Rodney Hinton. I completely understand it, and I completely support him in his actions. I think if people are going to continue to fight back, number one, if white people are going to stand with black people, we have to be organized, because we have to see what's going to come from this. And what's going to come is severe, harsh, stringent, rigid, suppressive measures. And they're going to fall first on the black community. We have to be organized and prepared to deal with those oppressive measures. Because make no mistake about it, if it continues to happen on isolated terms, on a one-by-one basis, they will not hesitate to start making examples out of these people, out of Rodney Hinton and John McCoy. They will start bringing the hammer down on them, and they will start to crush the people's imagination. And that's, I mean, ultimately, that's what it's about. You know, Huey Newton used to talk about recapturing the imagination of the people. And that's because it had been stolen by the capitalist, racist power structure. It had been stolen by this power structure and had been held captive by making us believe that these people, these police and these rich motherfuckers are all untouchable and more valuable than us. And people like Luigi Mangione and Rodney Hinton and John McCoy are starting to break down that facade. The problem with breaking down that facade by yourself is that the reprisals are never going to just be taken on by yourself. Even though the action was taken by yourself, the consequence is never suffered by yourself. Because they know, they see that you are recapturing the imagination of the people. You are showing that these people are not impervious to the power of the people. And they are going to do what they can to make sure that they can stay in power. Organization and being prepared is going to be key to that. So if you're going to fight back, or if you're going to stand with people who are fighting back, be organized and be prepared. Self-defense is an inherent right that is given to every man, woman, and child. It is an inherent right that is endowed by the sheer fact of being alive. Everybody inherits that right just by being born. Every living creature inherits that right just by existing. And liberation movements are inherently self-defense because they are done in the interest of self-preservation. But they cannot succeed without being organized. They cannot succeed if they're done on a one-off basis. They cannot succeed if they're done through isolated incidents and emotionally reactive measures. They have to be organized.